Bountiful High School, Bountiful, Utah. Where's the main office? It's right here. Oh, the big sign that says main office. Okay, thank you. Oh, exactly. Hi, how are you doing? You're a policeman. He has an office somewhere?
Right back here and to your left.
Come through here?
Sure.
Thank you.
It should be like the second door on the right-hand side.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Alan Smith.
You're out of uniform?
I'm out of uniform. Oh, that's the top he's out of uniform. I'm Alan Smith.
Thank you so much.
Come on in.
Seeing me.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming over. That was pretty fast.
Well, I just want to make sure that we're on the same wavelength, and I know a lot of your officers over there, not because I'm arrested. I've never been arrested. I never had a ticket for 50 years.
Hey, you've done well.
I have.
Yeah.
And so I just want to, I'm going back over our conversation, and you're absolutely right that there is legal discrimination. If I want to be, it says we need a person to watch the dressing rooms.
Mm-hmm.
They can say, we don't want a male doing that. That's legal discrimination. It's based upon some common sense, but upon the need too.
Sure.
The problem.
This is Officer Woody. I'm Alan Smith.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
You impersonated an officer.
I did. He brought me in when he had you on the phone. So.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't hear your part of the conversation. I can only hear this.
My part of the conversation, I guess, is that legal discrimination is allowed in the United States.
It is.
It's based on it can be based on many things. If you're 55 years old, community, that's age that has been held up. The protected classes, and my daughter would be a protected class because she's a Filipino, it's a different culture and a different language, etc. But I'm not coming in on those issues.
Okay.
What I'm coming in on is to restrict your parking area on a class basis.
Okay.
In my opinion, it has no, it doesn't meet the scrutiny of legal discrimination. If you said, gee, the younger drivers are reckless and we don't want them in that parking lot, gosh, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. But my child, she has two jobs. She works at Lagoon for the last 2 years, and she's a courier now too, and she uses her car as a courier, and she owns the car. And she pays more taxes than 90% of those kids that pull in there because she pulls in her own car, and she pays taxes. Those kids ride in on their parents' car.
Oh,
so, to me, I don't think discriminating on the class is legal. Now, I know you've done it for 200 years. I know that the blacks, have not had the vote for 200 years. I'm not speaking anything on historical.
Okay.
I'm speaking, if we put this in front of a judge, would he say that the class status is legal for the public parking at a public school? I don't think he would.
Okay.
I think he'd knock it down.
Okay.
Now, I don't want my child to have an exception. I don't want her at the front of the class. I'm not a typical Utah. I just want everybody to be treated fairly, whether black or brown or white, whatever. If children are legally able to drive a vehicle, they should be able to legally be able to park it publicly without an age or class discrimination.
To a certain extent, I agree with you, sir.
Okay, well, I'm glad you do, and I'm not trying to be an ass. You can
And that's why I invited you in here, because it seems like we're not communicating right, and I might not understand you correctly, so I want to make sure I get, and that's why I don't like talking on the phone.
I don't either, because you don't know who you're talking to.
Exactly, exactly.
The remedy, and I think a judge would see this,
Okay.
the remedy is you do let them park in the street. What the sophomores are
Okay.
able, because that's a public street, but the public parking lot they're not allowed to park in. So my issue is, why isn't it a first come first serve? Why are the juniors and seniors more privileged? Is there a legal reason for that? If there is, then what you're doing is fine.
Yes. Do you want me to field this?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, to address the issue of the taxes, I think that's wonderful that your daughter is working and earning money, because really, there's a lot of education she gets from being a working individual, a working citizen. So that's wonderful. But again, we can't give favoritism based upon how much taxes
Right.
somebody pays.
Absolutely.
You know, so the federal government would not agree with that. I don't believe a judge would agree with that.
No, I was just making that as
Okay.
a side argument.
Yeah, and as far as the age class goes, you brought up the issue when I spoke to you on the phone about, you know, if there's a 23-year-old sophomore,
Mm-hmm.
he still wouldn't be able to get a parking permit. It's required that you have a permit because it's a quasi-public parking area. It's not a public parking area, it's quasi. There's a legal difference there. Based upon the discrimination issue, I would agree. We don't discriminate based upon age. It's based upon class standing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a sophomore, no matter how old or how young you are, you can't get a parking permit. There's administrative purview given to the district because even though it is purchased with tax dollars, this property falls under the purview of the Davis County School District. Through the administrative process, the authority to regulate the parking area is delegated to the administrators here. Okay. As far as a legal basis, and I could be totally off because I am just a humble officer.
Well, I'm just a humble citizen.
Yeah, I believe that a judge would rule in our favor, and here's the reason. It kind of goes like this. Number one, it's administrative, so that in and of itself, that finishes it. But to say that we're being discriminatory based upon age, we're not really doing that. But the Supreme Court, or on class, the Supreme Court has ruled there are classes and there are protected classes.
Mm-hmm.
One of those would be race, religion, age, and handicap. For example, we have handicap parking. If we were to say, you know what, forget it, we're just going to let everybody first come, first serve, what are we going to do for the handicapped people?
You're under federal scrutiny for ADA. You have to provide that.
Oh,
to the federal
absolutely.
government.
Absolutely.
This is a state issue, and it comes down to a district issue, and then it comes down to the school.
Well, and there's also what's known as concurrent jurisdiction. So, yes, I get it. But this is administrative. It's not criminal. It's administrative.
Right.
Just like ADA would be. But
Right.
But that's my question. You know, you're making this argument saying it should be first come, first serve. You know, she shouldn't be discriminated against. Well, students could say, why am I discriminated against when I don't have a handicap? I should be able to park in the handicap. It should be first come, first serve. So that argument...
Are we mixing apples and oranges with that argument? I think we're 100% based together on that idea.
Mhm.
That the handicapped people, there is a reason for them to be
What
discriminated.
is that?
Access to
Okay.
public facilities,
Okay.
ease of access,
Okay.
shortness to get to the facility, mental disability that they can get lost in a parking lot, can be Alzheimer's or age. There's medical and mental reasons, physical reasons, that people are able to use that. And that has
Okay.
been determined by the federal government under ADA, that not only do you have to provide it, but everybody knows why it's there.
But what's the reason behind it?
The
Shouldn't
reason,
it be first come, first serve? Are we discriminating against people who don't have disabilities by providing handicap parking? That's what it sounds
Yes.
like to me.
yes,
Okay.
legally discriminating.
Mhm.
Legally. On
So
the basis.
that's what I would probably liken this to. It is discrimination that we don't give sophomores parking passes. Okay? And this is kind of the reason why. We don't say, you know what, you're a sophomore and you're underage. We don't issue the parking pass. Everyone's required to have a parking pass. The exception would be handicap parking.
Or the street.
Or, well, we don't have purview of the street.
Right.
That's not property of Davis County School District. So what we do is we say, okay, juniors and seniors, you get parking permits. And the time may come where we say, sorry, only seniors get parking permits. It's not based upon their age. It's based upon their class standing. And like you said, it's a legal discrimination. And that's...
So what is the
that's why.
basis for that? You asked me the handicap basis for that discrimination. What is your legal discrimination
You do have a point, though.
policy based upon? Why is a senior privileged to have that? I don't understand.
Because at one time that senior was a sophomore and they were discriminated that they couldn't have a permit.
Okay, now, I heard that sentence, okay?
Okay.
Now, under that same philosophy,
Mhm.
a black person can say, well, people have discriminated against my ancestry, so I have certain privileges.
No, I don't understand.
Well,
that.
you're saying, I guess, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, I'm just trying to put back through my own mind, that you're saying that the legal discrimination is based upon what?
There's not enough parking spaces.
And you think a judge would support that?
Oh, absolutely. You don't?
Not at all.
Okay. Well, I guess, sir, we'd have to disagree.
Agree to disagree, yeah.
So. That's
Well,
the
it
way,
has
like
to
I
be
said,
a legal basis.
it's
a legal
administrative,
basis.
and it's not a protected class. So.
Let me throw one other piece in there. The size is the number one issue. However, the size also restricts the safety of it. So, I mean, I've had kids parking left, right, up, down, because they're kids. You know, even though we've got marked parking,
Mhm.
it's a little
Could
difficult
you switch your
sometimes
class
to get
for me?
them to
I can't.
to go
Yeah.
ahead and park where they need to.
Yeah.
When I have the parking lot with 750 kids in it.
Okay.
I've got about 550, 600 parking spots between the two parking lots. So we issue up to 650 parking passes every year because I figure, you know, we're going to have 10% who are going to be absent on any given day. And so that's why that is. The safety issue comes in, and not just for property damage, but for human safety, because, you know, kids drive
Limiting
a
the
little.
parking to the spaces is like a
Right.
building. Only a certain amount of people are allowed in the building.
Yes.
Exits, 2 exits,
Right.
fire alarms in schools and
Right.
whatever. So I think we're in 100% agreement.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's a safety issue. I don't think it's a safety issue, because if it was first come, first served, the first 600 get it. The rest go to the street.
Mhm.
Why isn't
That's-
it that way?
That's not necessarily the case. We have to stand out there because even if they don't have a parking permit, we do have students that try and overcrowd. I think I understand your situation. You think that a better way, in your opinion, would be to allow it to go to first come, first serve.
Yes, I think that's the fair way to do it.
Well, and you know what? You're entitled to that. And if you became a school administrator, I think that would be a very good idea for you to try and put that into action and see what happens. The purview falls upon the administrators. They feel that it should be a different way. Okay? So I think,
But
you
they
know,
could be wrong. They could not, they may not have a legal basis to do that.
I
Possible?
you know what? Like I said, I'm just a humble officer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. But that's the authority that they've been given from the district, who has purview over this property, that's how they can regulate it. And really, this comes down to property rights. Granted, it is tax dollars that are paying for the district to purchase property. The property owner gets to manage and regulate traffic on his property. So when they put stop signs up, or if they say, you park here, your vehicle gets towed, that's the property manager's purview. That's their right. They have a right to that.
Those are based upon
Mhm.
safety issues.
No, sir, it is not. So a private property owner can say, you are not allowed to park in my parking lot.
Right.
Okay? They can tow your vehicle. Normally, if you go and take someone's car, that's called theft.
Mhm.
But if the vehicle's on their property, they have a right to remove it.
Right.
So I would have to, default back to the property owner gets to regulate traffic on his property. So the school district has given authority, delegated authority to the school administrators on how to do that. If you don't agree with that, there is a venue for that. You can go talk to the administrators of the school district. You can talk to the school board. As far as what we're going to do, I don't believe that we're going to be able to give you the resolution that you desire. But we do appreciate you coming in and voicing your opinion, because it's always important for us to hear what people in the community have to say. So, do you have any other questions for us?
I do want to add one thing,
Sure.
because I agree with you. We're not always right.
No, you're not.
I agree with you 100%. I've made more than my share of mistakes in my
And I don't
lifetime.
want to go through a
Yeah.
formal
So-
grievance. I don't want to sue.
Well-
I don't want to
well,
go.
what-
I don't want to go that
What
direction.
I'm going to do is, there is a lawyer that works for the school district.
Michelle, she's not in her office.
Is she-
I've dealt
okay.
with Michelle on several
Okay.
occasions, and the school district has lost
Okay,
on
well,
several occasions.
and
I don't want it to go that direction.
Well, I'm gonna call Michelle.
Okay.
And I'll find out, hey, you know, here's where we are. Give me some advice, because that's where I go for my legal advice. And if she tells me that, yeah, okay, you're solid, I'll call you and say, hey, we're solid. If
Okay.
she tells me, no, that's not gonna fly, I'll call you and tell you, send your daughter in and buy a parking pass.
Okay,
Is that fair?
that's very fair. Now
Okay.
let's throw into the formula that I'm legally handicapped.
Okay.
It's right out there, you can look it up. I'm legally handicapped.
Okay.
And there's times that I need to either drive her to school and
Okay.
or go back and forth. Now, the handicap law is that she's expecting to pick me up, she can park in handicap parking. If she's expecting that I am there and I need to be picked up. She has a right to park that car anywhere in
If they've got a
handi-
handicap placard, absolutely.
Okay. It does. Can we resolve it that she can park in the handicap parking there? It has a sticker.
Well, again, that brings us to the question, is it so she can have a place to park, or is it because she's going to do business where she picks you up directly after school? And really, it's not for us to judge. The question is, do you feel good about that?
I don't want her to have special privileges. That's not my goal.
Okay.
My goal is always to see that every human being is treated fairly and under the Constitution equally. And for me to do what Utah does, manipulate in the good old boy system and whatever, I mean, they put me right through to you as soon as I wanted to talk to the administrator. Goes right through the building, right to you. If anyone disagrees, they're an evil person or they're a troublemaker or whatever.
Not at all.
Well, you don't get too many referrals. The administrator that I spoke to, the woman that said she was a teacher and now she's 27 years at the school here, when I said to her, what is the remedy for me to, you know, try to resolve this? And she started laughing at me.
Okay.
I don't like that.
I can tell.
Not only do I take that personally, but I take it, she represents this school.
Mhm.
When she picks up that phone and says, I'm an administrator, I expect a level of professionalism.
Mhm.
And I think I have a right to that. And, you know, she needs to be spoken to and said, you know, Mr. Crossett came in, said you were laughing to him. She'll deny it. They don't lie. But I recorded all of my phone calls at home so I can back that up. Yes, sir.
I need to stop you there. When you say they all lie, that's kind of stereotyping, isn't it? That's actually prejudicial, isn't it?
When I said all, that's, you're exactly right.
Okay.
Many or most. Trying to do any business in this school district on a Friday, I have.
Well, so you could say from my experience, when I
From
make
my
contact,
experience, they're not at
that
their
would be-
desk, they're not available, they'll
Okay.
call you back, they don't call back. That's why I jumped on your invitation to come in, so that we can, you know, kind of get some resolution to what's going on.
So,
It's a very easy thing for you guys to say, well, she has a parking sticker and Dad may be over there, and there's not a lot we can do about that. And of course, you know, once you ticket her with that placket there, now it becomes a federal issue.
Well,
It's not a
and-
state
and-
issue.
and that's
I don't want her
exactly-
to have that privilege.
Well,
I want all the sophomores to be treated fairly.
I understand.
Not just my kid, everybody. And I'm
well,
not the kind
how,
of... Go
how
ahead,
about
sir.
this, Mr. Croissant? Your daughter, if she's gonna, like you said, if she's gonna pick you up or she's doing business that involves you, she can park there. What I get upset with is when people ask hypothetical questions of me because they're trying to bounce ideas, and that's not what the Constitution is about. The Constitution is about the government leaves you alone. And if you have to come to me and ask me, there's kind of a problem on both sides, right? You know what the law is. Do you need to ask me, well, can my daughter park here, can she not park here? Because it kind of sounds like you're trying to set us up for failure by saying, well, now she can't get a parking pass, I'm just going to have her park in the handicap parking whether she's going to pick me up or not. So we don't need to even go there, do we? If she's going to pick you up, absolutely she should park there. But I guess you and your daughter know better as to whether she's going to be doing business, whether she's parking there just because it's for convenience, which means if she's parking there every day, she's not handicapped. If she has to get in the car and come pick you up right after school, that's great. But if not, she's taking away a handicap spot for somebody else who's handicapped. So you know what? Let your conscience be your guide. If there's any type of issue, you know, we'll get in touch with your daughter, we'll get in touch with you. But, you know, for you to come and ask us, well, can I do this, can I not do that? That kind of makes me sad because you know what the law is, sir. You're a smart man. You don't need me to say, well, no, you can't do that, I'm going to do this if you do. Because really, that's not what it's all about, is it?
Well, I think if you call Michelle, I think the case turns on the issue of is there a legal reason that you can substantiate and support, not a convenience.
Right.
A safety issue certainly would be meet that scrutiny. But Michelle should be able to know if this goes to a federal court, not Utah. I lose all the way through Utah, and I know that. But this can go right over to the 10th district directly. Skip Utah altogether because it's a discrimination issue. And so the question is, the discrimination against the sophomores, is it legally supportable?
Okay.
That's the question. And if it is, I just back off.
Okay.
I don't think a judge in a million years would see overcrowding. He would go, gee, if any parking lot's overcrowded, it's first come, first served, downtown, anywhere. You know. So in a public parking area, and I understand that you're saying it's not totally public, but it is supported with tax dollars, and you have federal dollars that come into this building. That's why BYU changes its policy. They want those federal dollars. So if you don't mind calling her and just simply saying, Michelle, David's in here, and she'll probably know who it is. It's not that I'm a troublemaker, it's that I just want things to be fair. And so many systems here are the good old boy systems. And it hurts. Like my daughter is a legitimate worker. She pays taxes. She paid insurance and she pays, you know, she's a citizen. Why is her right restricted? Because of her class. Is the class a legal right to discriminate? And if they say yes, then I can disagree there, and we can go to court and see if the judge says that. But I think Michelle might be smart enough. I know she's going to be opening a can of worms because there is not enough parking. But why should my daughter have to be in the street and walk 5 miles, and she comes early, and she can't go in the parking lot?
Right.
And some senior can come in here 50 minutes late and go right into the parking lot. So the legal basis for that, that's all I'm looking for.
Okay. All right. I will ask her exactly that, and I will get back to you.
Okay, that
Okay.
sounds good. And I appreciate you letting me come in.
Before you go, let me
Yeah.
give you my card so you can
Okay.
call me too.
Can I have your card so I can put it in the stack of Bountiful police cards that I have? And you've all been very courteous and very kind and knowledgeable, and I appreciate you letting me come in. So let's see. Let's see if they can discriminate that way.
Okay. I would be interested to hear what the district attorney says as well.
Well, I sued Jordan School District because my children were in the Philippines when I adopted them, and the argument was they're not residents. I said, well, they are residents, they're just out of the country. What happened is they backed off, but now we have K through 12 school now, don't we? Now we have K through 12 school in the state of Utah. Kids can learn by computer wherever they're located.
Oh, okay.
Residence has no meaning. So many times I don't get resolution in my lifetime and at my level, but down the road, is it the right thing to do? That's what I think we need to base our laws and our enforcement of the law. Is it the right thing to do? Thank
That's
you,
my
sir.
school stuff. Flip it over on the back. That's my cell number.
Okay, and you're here on Fridays and you actually answer your phone? And if I leave a message, you'll actually call me back?
You know what I really want you to do? That's why I put my cell number on there. Call me on my cell. I'm here, but you know, I could be at a ball game. I could be, you know, somewhere. But texting is actually the absolute best. But
I'm
calling's
too old.
fine. You're too old to text. Okay, I'll answer the
And I'm
phone.
handicapped.
I'll answer the phone, and if I don't answer, I will call you back.
Well, you've been very kind, both of you, and I appreciate it. And I think we have the issue boiled down to, is there a legal basis to not treat these kids equally? If there is, I'd like to hear it. And at that point, I may just say, okay, she says there is, but Michelle's been wrong before. And, you know, is it important enough to take it to a judge and say, what do you think?
Okay.
Appreciate you guys
All right.
very much. Very much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
for taking the time
officer.
to come in.
Well, thank
like
you.
I said, I hate talking on the phone.
Crosset.
Crosset. Alan Smith.
It's very nice to meet you,
Nice to
Alan.
meet you.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thank you. I'll try to get you an answer by today, but it may be Monday.
Okay.
Okay?
No problem.
Just so you know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good.
Sir David, the bar gone.